Welcome to Eyes on Books. I'm so glad you're joining us today, and I certainly hope that you enjoy our discussion about Gwendolyn Womack and her new book, The Premonitions Club. I'm Elaine Schnitter, and my co-host today is John Peters. Gwendolyn tends to focus on paranormal phenomena in her books. This is her fourth book regarding some of these types of activities, and it takes a bit to get used to the idea that these things really happen. But I think you'll enjoy the story. It's pretty exciting, don't you think, John?
Oh, yeah. This really kind of holds you in suspense, and it's fast-paced. I thought it was a real page-turner for a book. It was really, really good. Mm-hmm. And at the end, there's that little handbook that people can use to engage in and see how close they are with what the handbook describes.
Yeah, the handbook I thought was a real bonus at the end of the book.
Yeah, it really was.
Yeah, and you could try some of the examples in the handbook, like numerology and palm reading. It'd be kind of fun to do in a book group or with a group of friends.
Oh, yeah.
See how we all come out, what color we are.
It's a great cocktail hour exercise for everybody. No question about it.
I would say so. The book basically involves these 6 very curious, very smart teenagers who come across a box of documents in one of the grandfather's attics. And the boxes are labeled, "Do not open." Well, guess what? Being teenagers or being anyone, quite honestly, seeing that, they opened them and then found that what was in there was quite interesting and questionable and very secretive, and they pursued finding out what this was all about.
Yeah, it's kind of suspenseful right from the beginning. Mm-hmm. And as you said, put "do not open." It's just an invitation to open it.
Yeah.
And I think what they thought might be in the box certainly wasn't what they found. Mm-hmm. It really started the ball rolling, if you will, and takes them on this escapade that involved the government, involved them. Mm-hmm. I mean, it really kind of grabs you from the beginning. And at first you think, I'm not sure this is real. But there's a lot of real truth in that paranormal activity that she describes in the book.
Yeah, it's really interesting. The more you read about it, the more you realize there are people who can see into the future and report it. And apparently, according to this novel, these predictions, these premonitions were reported to a government agency. Now, whether that's really true or not, we're going to ask the author about that when she comes on. But the thing about the government getting involved, this black ops group getting involved, was really because of social media, believe it or not. Yeah. So.
Yeah, as the viewers go through the book, they're going to find that one of the teenagers posted something online, and somebody was monitoring it from the federal government, and that's what tipped them off and got everybody involved. So even though the book is fictional, there's a lot of parallels with today and some of the modern things that are going on today with social monitoring and involvement and those types of things.
Yes, in fact, 2 of the teenagers whose faces actually appeared on the social media post were picked up by this black ops group. So, yes, a lot of parallels for sure.
Yeah, and there's stories about the federal government using people who have premonitions and the ability to, for example, fly over a warehouse and describe what's in the warehouse, having never seen it. Mm-hmm. So even though this is somewhat fictional, there's also some credibility behind it. And as you said, we'll ask the author about that and see what she says.
Yeah, I'm anxious to see what she has to tell us about that. One of the girls among this group of teenagers has the ability to determine auras, and she can look at a person and pick up their color. And this kind of reminded me of the mood rings in the 70s and the 80s.
Yeah, in fact, I think you're wearing one, aren't you?
I'm wearing one. Yes, I'm wearing my mood ring. I was a high school teacher for many years, and during that time period, many of the girls had mood rings, and I also had a mood ring. So in the morning when the students would come into my classroom, I would be sitting at my desk or standing doing something, and I would notice that they would nonchalantly glance over at my hand to see what color my ring was. If it was blue, that would be a good sign. That would mean I was relaxed. If it was dark, if it were black, that would be a danger zone. They might not even want to stay there. So that was probably my main adventure with anything paranormal.
Well, that begs the question, did you look at their mood rings to see what the mood they were in?
Yes, I would notice them as well. Yes, I would. It was just a time when people were very interested, especially teenagers at that time. They were very interested in that sort of thing. And I was a science teacher, of all things, so, trying to blend that all together.
Well, that sort of ties in with, the paranormal phenomena and everything else, that things happen that really normal scientific research may not even be able to explain. Mm-hmm. So I guess it was appropriate for them to do that in a science class. So
I guess. I don't know.
Well, I think all of this kind of ties in. There's some themes that surface in this book. And one of them, and it, in a way, somewhat relates to what the young students were doing. What are the ethics behind finding out these things? When you find out secrets and you find out things that are not to be coming out into the public arena, what ethics cover that? And that's a theme that's I found sort of throughout the book. What do we do and how do we do it? And you post things on social media, and that opens up a real can of worms, as they found out.
It sure did.
And then you get the government involvement. There's just a lot of contemporary issues that apply to this book as well, that we're all seeing and experiencing today.
Yes, I agree, yes. And of course, the teenage mind is always moving in the direction of society. They're coming up with things we haven't even thought of sometimes. So. Oh,
that's very true.
Yeah.
Very true today.
Yeah.
But I think as they discover this, I think the viewership, when they go out and get this book, they're going to be intrigued by it too, because you want to go to the next page. You want to find out what's coming. Mm-hmm. They had this little surprise, if you will, that they found in this box, and it just continues. Mm-hmm. And then the government gets involved and they start chasing people, and then there's the interaction with the teenagers too. There's sort of a love interest going on at the same time, and how they depend on one another, and it's really intriguing, intertwined, involved, but very quick moving, I thought.
Yes, it is. And two of the teenagers were actually detained by this Black Ops group. And in fact, a third one went to find those two, and he ended up being detained along with them. So there was a lot of mystery there and tension. We didn't know who was going to get out and what shape they would be in when they finally did.
That's right. So we have a lot of questions to ask this author.
Yes, we do.
We'll be talking to the author in just a few minutes.
Gwendolyn, welcome to Eyes on Books. I'm
Thank you.
Elaine Schnitter, and my host is John Peters. And we're very happy to have you, and we're very excited about your new novel. We have a lot of questions, so if you don't mind, I'll let John start off with a couple of them.
Well, thanks so much for having me. I just want to say that first. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. We like your books. Our book group has read two of your other books, and you actually joined us at our book group one time. I think it was years ago, and I think it was Skype. I think it was before Zoom.
It was, and it was, I believe that was for the memory painter.
The memory painter, yes, yes. So you're a familiar author to us, so thank you.
Well, I really enjoyed your book. It was a page-turner, I must say. It had intrigue, the paranormal, and the way you had woven that through the book with the teenagers and all their experiences. I just found it, you really couldn't put it down once you started. You wanted to go to the next page and find out what was happening.
Thank you.
My question, as I was reading it, is how did you come up with this idea? Because there is some truth to this type of activity that was investigated by the military for a number of years. So how did you develop this?
I came up with this idea originally when I was researching my second novel, which is about the world's first tarot cards. I was doing a lot of research, and I came across, this was way back in 2015, I came across this fascinating piece of history that a premonitions bureau actually existed from 1968 to 1993, and it was paranormal researchers that were inviting people around the country to mail in their predictions, and then they were going to track them and see if there were mass predictions or basically how psychic the country was. And when I found this out, I got so excited. I was like, oh my gosh, that's a great starting place for a story. And I wrote it down, you know, in my idea book journal. And then years later, and I originally was thinking, imagining all the letters in one place and, you know, these teenagers finding all of them, all the letters. And so that's really the kernel of the idea that I had. And then years later, when I was finally ready to write it, I just knew they were going to find the letters. And, you know, I don't want to there's so many twists and turns in the story. When we talk about it, I just want to keep it under wraps for all the readers. But yeah, I had so much fun writing it, and people would say, well, what are you working on? And I would say, it's The Breakfast Club meets Firestarter. I mean, that was the best way I explain what I'm doing. And yeah, I had a lot of fun writing it. And the research into all the psychic, you know, actual scientific psychic research, that is, I really enjoyed diving into that research and, you know, putting as much interesting factual accounts and things into the book. So,
well, I will say it grabs you right from the beginning. And
thank you.
And I'm sure you didn't plan it this way, maybe you did, but there's a lot of parallel with what's going on in the United States today. I mean, sort of, you know, posting things on social media, getting the government's attention, having control come in from various local, federal, and other types of government. There seems to be a real parallel with what you wrote and with what's going on today. Was that accidental, or did you have that in mind when you wrote it?
You know, when you're writing fantasy or magical realism, the more real you can make it, it can invite the reader in a lot easier. So yeah, I try and make the stories feel as real as possible. That's something I really love to do as a writer. So yeah, I try and pull in things from life and observations and all of that stuff. So.
One of the things I really liked that you did was to give a definition of a paranormal term at the beginning of each chapter. I thought that was wonderful. That was.
Thank you.
It, and there's so many of these terms. I was wondering, when is she going to run out of them?
If there's a second book, I'll have to think of another, device, because I will run out. I was running out towards the end.
Yeah, that was great, though. And the other little gift that you gave us at the end of the book was the Premonitions Handbook, which was just so much fun. I started doing some of them myself. I did the numerology and
Great.
the palm reading. That was interesting. And the auras. It was just kind of neat. And we kept thinking that would be fun to do with the book group, From if we are going to review your book in our book group later this year, but maybe we'll do one of the tests while we're at it.
That's great. Thank
fun.
you.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the handbook, putting that in there. So that was the goal, was just to let readers have fun with it after the story's been told. And that was.
Well, you succeeded as far as I'm concerned. That was just delightful at the end. It was really, really fun.
Yeah, I think Elaine and I both talked about that, and I said it would make a great cocktail hour activity to have some friends over, either for a dinner party or just for cocktails, and go through it. Have everybody, go through it and then compare and talk about it. It was amazingly close. When I took it, I looked at it and said, "Yeah, that's pretty close." And I think you had the same outcome.
Yeah, it was like, "Oh, that's me. It is me." Yes. How did that happen? The other thing we talked about before you came on was about the auras. And when I read that part, I remembered about the mood rings, which I was a high school teacher, and in the 70s and the early 80s, mood rings were big among teenage girls. And
I have one.
I used to wear one. And, I was telling the viewers and John that when my students would come in the morning, they would very nonchalantly glance over at my hand just to see what mood I was in.
That's funny.
Yeah.
As you were crafting the book and writing each section, did you have themes in mind that you wanted to develop in the book? For example, I found one of the themes for me dealt with ethics. What did these teenagers have to deal with ethically? And can you change the future? Is it fate or is it free will? Did you have that in mind as you went through it?
Oh, definitely. I mean, that's the big question. I think, when we're even thinking about seeing the future, and the thing that fascinates me the most, which is, this basically the idea of seeing the future, when you look at it kind of as a physics question, with backwards time, and time is circular, and we don't really experience linear time as we think we do, according to theoretical physicists. And I find that so fascinating, and that is what goes into my books quite a bit. Just the whole idea of perception of time, and I'm probably not even answering your question the way maybe you were angling it, but yes. So I do like to pose questions about fate and just the whole the whole big picture. I mean, that's what I think we're all wondering about. And as science keeps progressing, and our understanding of reality gets more sophisticated, the way we think gets more sophisticated, and the future generations are going to be dealing with and thinking about things that previous generations did not. So I think it's just fascinating.
Conscious about putting those themes and more themes in that, and I agree with you that science is moving forward, and as we discover more and more and get more evidence, it's certainly going to drive the future. So interesting how you wove science and the background of some of that science into the book.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was interested in the experiment with the magnetite crystals. Is there any truth to magnetite crystals being present in the human brain, or was that fictional?
It's funny. There is magnetite in the brain, and I made that choice. I just landed on it, and it's only recently that there's actual magnetite studies that have been showing up in my feeds and stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's amazing. So it just seemed to be a good fit to go with. So yeah, that is a real thing.
Interesting.
What I find interesting in your discussions and explanations, I think a lot of people, when they pick up a book, they might look at it and say, oh, this person really had a good imagination, or this is, something that, maybe they got an idea from a dream or what have you. But what strikes me with you is you actually did a lot of scientific discovery. You did a literature review to get information. Sounds like a lot of this is grounded in science, grounded in history, and maybe you could comment just a bit about how you approach the writing of the book.
I just love research, and I love filling up stories with interesting things that I discover along the way. It's just kind of what makes it fun for me. And so, yes, and I do mention a few books that were really inspirational in the research for this, and that is Dean Radin's work. I tend to go back to his nonfiction books quite a bit to kind of mine them for interesting scientific discoveries.
You give the viewers your website address so they can check it out. GwendolynWomack.com, and there is a book page already for the Premonitions Club, and I will make a point to put the bibliography up there soon. So.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, I've been to your website, and I noticed that your undergrad degree is from the University of Alaska in Fairbanks, and you have a graduate MFA degree from here in California. So you have some ties here to California.
I do. I lived in LA for a long time. I came out for grad school at Cal Arts for theater and film directing, and ended up screenwriting for many years, and then wrote The Memory Painter, which was my first novel. So yes, and I did my undergrad in Alaska, and Alaska is in this book. That was very intentional, and I was excited to put that in there.
So what are you working on now, Gwendolyn? Are you on to a new project?
I am. I actually have another book coming out next year that is I'm going to be talking about it more as we go in, further into the summer and fall. But it is a fantastical adventure story, a romantic adventure about a woman who is a musical prodigy, and the world is on the brink of a polar shift. And so she is propelled back in time to the 1800s, where on the wings of sound, and she wakes up in the middle of a stone circle, purportedly built by Merlin. And lying beside her is the lost diary of Merlin's twin sister. And the story propels from there. And I don't want to really talk about anything else about it yet, but that's kind of the starting point of it. I've been working on that one for a really long time, and it is linked to The Memory Painter in ways where the readers who have read The Memory Painter will know and enjoy. So.
Well, it sounds fascinating. I can't wait. So it won't come out until next year, is that right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Right now it's set for next April, so hopefully that'll be staying on track, which is, we'll see.
Our viewers will be interested and will be out looking for it. Are you going to have an audio of it?
Yes, there is an
good.
audiobook. It is available in hardcover, audiobook, and ebook. And then the paperback should be coming out next year.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah, and thank you. I'm really, really thrilled. And I do Zoom with book clubs, so people are free to reach out to me. My info is on my website, and I also, this is my first YA young adult book, so I am open to talking to schools, high schools. So any teachers out there, feel free to reach out to me too. And yeah.
When we first started reading it, we were thinking it was more geared to young adults. However, as I was reading it, I realized it's pretty much relevant to anyone.
Thank you.
Especially those of us who work with teenagers for many years as teachers or counselors. We definitely could relate to those 6 teenagers.
Thank you. Yeah, I really set out to write it just as this story, not necessarily for teens specifically. It's more just the story, and I just didn't want to overthink it. These were the characters in my mind and the story that kind of came to be. But I really hope that adult readers who have enjoyed my previous books will like this one too. So.
Well, Gwendolyn, thank you so much for being with us today. Unfortunately, our time has come. Can you show us the cover of that book so that the readers know what to look for? There it is, The Premonitions Club by Gwendolyn Womack. Folks, thank you so much for tuning in and to Eyes on Books. This has been a great book, and I really encourage you to go out and get it. You'll enjoy it. And please come back next month for the next edition of Eyes on Books.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for having me.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.